This is Weights and Wealth, your one-stop shop for entertaining education on building a stronger body and bank account.
We are not doctors or financial advisors and must warn you this is not medical or investing advice. It is for your entertainment. Welcome back to Weights and Wealth. This is our second time at Sean's house. This is June that we are doing this batch. And our first episode is our favorite lifting programs to follow.
Yes, second time this summer recording the batch. So it's, what is it, June 21st here. So the next 10 episodes or so will all be from late June. But the shout out for today is Dylan Applegate, one of our former guests on the podcast. Go check out that episode. It'll be linked in the show notes. Imperial_fitness_South Carolina on Instagram.
SC.
Yes, SC, not South Carolina. Sorry. So shout out Dylan for liking and engaging with our posts on the Instagram. Thank you, Dylan.
Yeah. And then this month's raffle winner is Wyatt from Cincinnati. He commented on our fantasy football Spotify episode. So thank you, Wyatt.
Yeah, it's good to get that engagement. And then for our weights wisdom of the week, we've said it a million billion times. Just have a program, follow a program. I know what I'm doing in the gym, but even sometimes like I will fall off and like not really have an exact program. I'll do like the same lifts and like have a general idea of what I'm doing, being like, I want to hit X number for X amount of reps in, a couple of weeks or whatever, but due to work or whatever, it's hard to stay consistent sometimes. But like I've been sticking to a program that I built for the past 5 weeks, and like I feel 10 times better, like you actually feel better. It's not just that you're going to get stronger, but like everything else benefits. So just find a program and stick to it, and watch your numbers go up and your health skyrocket as well. Ted, if you want to bring us into the intro article.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're much more likely to just be maintaining if you're not on a program. So the intro article is from RFK. This is an ABC News article on RFK's position with medical schools. So the title of the article, if you want to scroll up, Sean, is RFK Jr. to tell medical schools to teach nutrition or lose federal funding. We've talked before on the show about how a lot of medical schools either don't require any nutrition classes or teach very limited nutrition classes to their medical school students. And these people are becoming doctors, but they really have no background in nutrition. And that's part of the reason why when you show up to a doctor's appointment, they really typically won't even ask you much about your nutrition. Maybe they'll ask how many servings of fruits and vegetables do you eat a day, but that's about it. So
I know. I always find it interesting how like that's in the typical medical profession, that's like what they're still focused on is the fruits and vegetables. And yes, fruits and vegetables do have key micronutrients and stuff, but there's like so many studies and like so much actual information out there that shows that like a lot of like animal-based products or animal-based foods and dairy and stuff like that are going to get you like your key macronutrients at a higher rate, and like you essentially get a higher rate of return, and they're more bioavailable to you. It's just puzzling to me that like the medical profession is so kind of behind the curve.
Yeah, I think the reason for the focus on fruits and vegetables in that kind of context is one, as if you're responding how they want you to respond, then you should be telling them how many servings of like whole food, fruits and vegetables you're eating a day. You shouldn't be taking like juice and tomato sauce on your pizza into that. But so that gives them a little bit of a basis into like, okay, how much of their diet is more whole foods? Obviously it's leaving out meat, eggs, dairy and stuff like that, but it gives a little bit of that. If you're eating 0 servings, then you're probably not eating a lot of whole foods. So that's one of the reasons. And then it also hits fiber and then some micronutrients. But yeah, like that's like the lowest hanging fruit.
So it's like you're saying it's like the simple question that they can get a rough outline of what your diet looks like.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. And then also on this, I I've looked up like the Johns Hopkins class schedule in the past, and it's like, I think a medical degree is like 3 or 4 years generally. And there were only 1 or 2 classes that taught anything about diet on it, or I guess that were diet focused.
Yeah. I mean, the article, it says that on average, it's only 19 hours that medical professionals spend throughout their education.
That was looking at 121 medical schools. It's 19 hours over 4 years.
Yeah.
Nutrition education.
And then something else I would love to see them at is like a data science class, or some data science classes, just because I feel like a lot of people don't actually read like the research studies. They just look at the conclusion. And that would like allow doctors to actually be able to evaluate a study rather than just taking like the conclusion for granted.
And seeing like they can actually criticize the methodology.
Yeah, because a lot of the times it's not great. I mean, like you see like the population that they test on, or who funds it, just looking into stuff like that.
Yeah, and in pre-med, I didn't have to take a single statistics class. I guess I already came in with AP stats, so maybe other people were required to take a stats class. I'm not sure, but yeah, like very, very little emphasis on that in pre-med before people go to med school. I'm not sure how much stats they do in med school.
Yeah,
I
could ask my brother.
I don't think any, but
yeah. I wouldn't know.
So back to the article, Sean, is there anything else you want to hit on that?
No, I mean, it's just, Kennedy's, I think, pointing out a pretty obvious hole in our healthcare sector, because it's like, at this point, we know for a fact that food and nutrition is kind of, really the front line on health, like even if you're not exercising, like if you are eating a healthy diet, like you're still going to be better off than the person that's exercising and eating a crap diet, you know? So, hopefully, this gets rolled in and, like we have, the medical profession kind of taking, nutrition a little more effectively or seriously. I mean, like, it's important in the U.S. because we do have such a tainted food supply in such a way. I mean, and I think we all can like speak to that just because, I mean, Ted, you just got back from Europe. I was just in Europe for almost a month. Nick was in Europe for 2 weeks. Like there is a difference. You do notice a difference in the food. Ironically, I think Ireland is now like the fattest country in Europe, but that's also because they have the most like Americanized diet, So you kind of notice that like going over there that there's generally less obesity.
Yeah, let's talk about where you went and like your experiences. Nick, you were just in Ireland,
like a year ago. Yeah,
but but you only did Ireland.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, I didn't really notice a difference between the food. I mean, like I was walking a lot more, and we were eating at some like nicer restaurants. But I mean, on the whole, I wouldn't say I noticed a big difference.
What about the people? Did you notice a difference in like the food?
Nothing really stuck out to me. Okay. I mean, like Charleston's a very fit area.
Yeah.
Like people go outside a lot, and I feel like it's lower than the rest of the country because when I travel, especially in airports, I'm like, holy cow, this is not like Charleston. So like my perspective might be skewed, but I didn't really notice anything.
I mean, I think if you went from like, I don't know, what is it? Like Missouri has like the highest obesity index.
Mississippi.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure if you went from Mississippi to, Europe, it would be a lot more, drastic. But I mean, even for us in the Nova area, this is a very fit area as well. Like the 4 mile run, the Capitol Mall, all that stuff is always filled with people running. The gyms are always packed. So all of us kind of live in more fitness oriented areas than like rural, more rural states. So, I mean, I noticed a difference in how I felt. And, I think it was definitely due to walking a lot more, but also, the amount of food we were eating. Like we ate a good amount of food, and I probably had like 3 to 5 beers every day, and I didn't gain any weight.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. And like, it's all anecdotal and stuff, but I do think that the kind of, the approach that the European food agencies have had, and I think they're kind of getting away from it more recently, but from what I understand is that, in the EU, they're generally more like, hey, new food, chemical, or process has been invented. Let's study it and see what effects it has on humans before we allow it. Yeah. Whereas the FDA is more of the school of thought where it's like, hey, new process or new food or new chemical is invented.
The president of this company that was there is now with us. Well, they say it's okay.
That's not what it is. But they're more like, okay, like let's rip it, and then if we have a problem, we'll pull it back.
Yeah.
It's more like, let it ride, and then catch a problem, like catch the knife. Whereas the EU is more like kind of like pumping the brakes at all times.
Yeah. In Italy, so I was just in Italy and then a couple little day here in Greece and Turkey, but really just Italy for the most part. And Alex and I noticed there were like almost no overweight people when you were walking around. Like you wouldn't really see overweight people.
I think it's just illegal in Italy.
Yeah. I mean, everyone in Italy just seemed to be in like pretty decent shape. And you walk around a ton there. Like Alex and I got 20 to 30,000 steps almost every day. There were a couple days where we were like traveling half the day on a train or like airport coming in where we only got like 15,000. But it was pretty much 20 to 30,000 or 35,000 some days. So we were doing a ton of walking. Yeah.
I mean, while like the nutrition is like the institutional nutrition approach is different. Like, how much do you think of like this idea that people have, like Europeans being more thin and stuff like that, is simply due to them just walking more?
I think most of it is due to walking. And then I think a lot of the chronic health issues that we see later in life in America that other countries don't struggle with as much is more related to the food issues. Because I think that the like lack of micronutrients, like that has more of a longer runway than gaining weight. So those kinds of issues with like the chemicals damaging your mitochondria and stuff like that, I feel like that has more of a longer term effect on your health. Whereas all the walking and stuff is more to account for the shorter term, like young people being overweight here. And then with the other thing I noticed in Italy is like no one had any muscle mass.
Yeah.
Like at all. Like there was just
and that's why America's better.
There was no one that had like any muscle, like anywhere. And they just don't eat a lot of protein for the most part. There are different regions that will eat a lot more seafood in their diet, or like up in Florence, they eat a lot more steak. But for the most part, it's almost impossible to find protein there. Like every meal I was just like, all right, like whatever for, I'm gone for 2 weeks. I'll have lower protein, whatever. But yeah, very, very hard to find protein.
You mean to tell me you weren't just buying gallons of Greek yogurt and walking around eating it?
Did that at work the other day.
Yeah, I mean, and then I know gyms also aren't as big of a thing over there. Because one of my coworkers, he's from Brussels, I believe. And he was telling me like how much bigger gyms are here and how much more crowded they are. Like gyms aren't really as much of a thing there.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to the gym in Vienna when I was there. I got a day pass. And I will say, like, it was a Gold's Gym, so it's a chain, but it was fairly empty. Like there was absolutely no problem getting on, getting a rack or getting into machines and stuff like that. But it was also a lot more focused on the weights. Like there was barely any treadmills there.
Yeah.
Like
you walk around.
There were a couple like cardio machines, but it was like pretty much purely dedicated to weights. Like it was a gym.
A gym.
Whereas in the US you see a lot more like your standard like commercial gym will have a massive section with like 20 treadmills, 10 rowers, 20 bikes,
30 ellipticals,
and then like 2 racks.
Yeah.
Like that's an issue you run into at like typical like community center gyms and stuff like that, where like your mom and dad might have a gym membership, whereas at like more professional gyms like DMV and stuff like that, they'll have like a smattering of cardio machines, but then they're more serious about
And people are usually just walking on the incline treadmill on those cardio machines. All right, let's move into the topic for today. It goes hand in hand with the weights wisdom of the week, following a program. We're going to talk specifically about some programs that we've done before and how we liked them, if we would recommend them to you. And then after that, we'll go into some more like general types of programs and if they might be a good fit for you. The best program is going to be one that you stick to and that you're consistent with. And then also an individualized program that you get from a coach is going to be better than following a program you find online. But if you're not willing to pay for that and you haven't had too much of an issue making progress, a specific program that you can find online can be good. It's just a little bit of a gamble sometimes from what I've seen. Yeah,
you got to be a little specific about it sometimes. Yeah. But if you guys want to start off, you have Two Sons 531 here. I've dabbled with this like as a rep range, but I've never like followed like the official one.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, this is one that we found online during college, and I pretty much did it for probably the entirety of college. We just ran this for like 3 years. Yeah, which explains why I plateaued so bad. I don't know if you remember, but my lifts just weren't moving for a while. Or I mean, it's probably one factor. But it's just, I don't know. I think it's way too much intensity and volume. We have the screenshot here, and you would do like six sets of hard squat and then six sets of pretty hard deadlifts
on the same day.
Same day.
Squat deadlift days were aggressive.
The assistance is like recommended but not required, and legs and abs, like all of that together is how you get like a 2.5 hour lift, and you just feel depleted afterwards.
Yeah, a lot of times we'd leave the gym just feeling just slammed, which is not really how you usually want to leave the gym. You want it to like energize you a little bit. You want to get a good hard workout in, but you don't want to leave feeling just absolutely spent. That means you're probably doing too much.
I mean, like per exercise, like sometimes it's good, like specifically on, like accessory lifts, like an arm workout or something. Like it's good to go like hard at 100%, like near failure, but like you shouldn't be like, unable to like lift your arm up to.
Yeah, if you're doing that for every exercise, and then it's a 2-hour workout, and then the rest of the day you're just like comatose, super fatigued, then you went too hard. But yeah, like this program, it will get you stronger. Like our lifts exploded, at least in the beginning, especially like bench and stuff. And my squat and everything for me went up because I'd never lifted
you were also
heavy.
Getting like newbie gains too.
Well, I'd already been lifting for like 2.5 years. I just had never lifted heavy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
You're out there with 65 on the bench.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like Ted and I did the overhead press together. I don't know what it was, probably freshman or sophomore year, and you could barely do like 55, I think. And then now I think you hit 2 plates at one point.
I've not hit 2 plates on the overhead press yet. I've been close, but yeah, freshman year I was still just a toothpick. But it will definitely help you.
This is where you have to crop in a picture of you from like senior year of high school.
Yeah.
Do a side by side.
Yeah. Moving on, though, I guess. Two Sons, not the best program. We don't recommend it. But if you take out some of the volume, it's pretty good because it does give you put in your 1 rep max or estimated 1 rep max, and then it will spit out like the weights that you do each week based off percentages.
It's probably good to run for like a couple weeks and then transition.
If you're going to run it, I'd run it for 8 weeks, but I would just take out some of the volume that's in there. When it says accessory exercises, chest, back, arms, don't do 8 exercises, do 3.
Yeah, that's fair. So we have German volume here. I can talk about this because this was something that my high school football team did every winter.
If you thought the last program had too much volume.
Yes. Now this is indeed a volume heavy program. So it's 10 sets of 10 of a core exercise. And what we did for my high school football team was military press, squat, and bench. And it was 10 sets of 10, and you start off at, I think it was 60%, or it was like 55 or 60% of your 1 rep max, and you do 10 sets of 10 of that week 1, and then you just progress, and you add 10 pounds every week, and we did it like 5 weeks, I think. And for like guys specifically, like freshmen and sophomores in high school, it's actually like a pretty effective newbie gains program because it's lighter weight.
Yeah.
And you're just hammering the crap out of your muscle group, and you're not like risking like a catastrophic injury because
that's true. Cause it is at that 60, 65 kind of percent. Yeah.
So you're kind of just pounding the volume and getting that in. And for guys who are, like new to lifting, because most guys aren't like, regular gym goers before high school, so I think it's actually for like newer lifters who are like looking to get into the gym and are training for a purpose, such as, being on a football team or a rugby team or, any sport where like muscle mass matters. I think it's actually pretty good to do like once or twice a year.
Yeah. Never thought we'd be recommending German volume, but here we are.
No. I mean that's just my experience, and it was brutal. Like after the leg days, like I was always late to class. Like I was walking so slow, and like my high school was like really old. It was built in like 1860, and so you'd be climbing up these rickety stairs going up to the 4th story. For history class, and I'd always be like 3 or 4 minutes late because I was just like basically crawling up the stairs. It was like a running joke that don't get stuck behind a football player, in the winter because like you'll be late, like they just we can't move. But so we would only do that 3 days a week. Yeah. And so it wasn't like a terrible, it wasn't really overtraining. Like they kept it pretty basic, where it was, the 10 by 10 of bench, and then it was like 4 by 10 tricep exercise, 4 by 10 row, and 4 by 10 of, something else. So it was like fairly well balanced, at least the way it was run at my high school. And then I would do it, by myself a couple times throughout college. Like I think like over a Christmas break or something, like I would do it, and I would do it for like 4 weeks, and I added in deadlift. That was rough.
I'm not sure I would recommend that.
Yeah. So it's not like now that I've like,
in fact, I wouldn't recommend that.
Yeah. Now that I've progressed past it, like I said, is like, I think this is a good intro. Like if you are, young and, you haven't really been in the gym too long, but you're like familiar and you know what you're doing, and in a controlled environment, like such as a team, I think it's good.
Yeah, I would say it does. One aspect of that for like a beginner is it does give you a lot of opportunity to practice those reps, because something that's really important with like your squat or your bench for getting stronger is having just a lot of practice that your technique gets better. Yeah. So that, it gives you 100 reps of practice. So you're probably going to improve your technique as long as you know how to do it correctly, or if someone's with you and they can help you get better at your technique, then your technique will probably improve. Yeah. All right. Moving on to starting strength. I see we've got strong lifts 5x5 next, so we can probably just lump these in together. But just like a 5x5 based program, a 5x5 for any beginner, I would say, is like probably the greatest place you can start to make instant strength and hypertrophy gains. So it's 5 sets of 5, and depending on the program, it will either have 5 sets of 5 for all your exercises or just for maybe the first 2 core lifts. But doing a 5x5 program, it will help your technique get better. You're lifting pretty heavy, so you're going to get a lot of strength gains, and then you'll just get a lot of mass with it, especially if you're new. So
yeah. This was the first program that I like really ran. I think it was probably junior or senior year of high school. Because like my bench at the time had plateaued really bad, and I was stuck at 205 for a while, and this is what got me. I think I hit 235.
I remember those days.
Yeah,
I didn't hit 205 till like sophomore year of college.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, bench always came
Fairly
easier
easy
to me.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, here's like a sample workout would be a squat 5x5, bench 5x5, and then barbell rows 5x8. Mm-hmm. So it's like a full body workout, and it's not too much volume.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely less volume. So either a strong lifts or starting strength. As far as online programs go, probably a much better program to follow. It's tempering down that extreme volume that you see with a lot of online programs, and it's still giving you effective.
You're getting all the fundamentals in there. I am curious though. It says under workout B here. I'm sure we'll have the infographic up. But so this is one thing I never understood. Why do people bench with their feet on top of the bench? Maybe you could explain this.
Position. Yeah, I mean, there's multiple different factors there.
Yeah,
it could be like for some people, getting that extension in their low back is kind of painful for them if they have back problems and they don't tolerate extension in the lumbar spine well. So some people will do it for that reason. And then some people want to get their feet off the ground so that they can't use their feet for leg drives. They're more isolating just the chest.
Okay.
That's probably the other, those are probably the two biggest reasons why people do that. And then the third is just trying to isolate that rib cage and kind of keep it connected with the pelvis so that that their back is flat the whole time. Because if you bench, you're probably going to have an arch in your back, but if you put the feet up, you're not going to have that arch.
Interesting. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then this is very similar to what I'm doing now. Like the next one we have is just full body is what I put, which is what I've been doing now. And I really like it because I don't feel crazy fatigued after the gym. Whereas if I just hit one or two groups, I do. And I can still function. And
how many years was I telling you to get on the full body train there?
A while. Probably since we graduated at least. Which I've been loving it now because then I can also go heavier on each lift because I'm not doing a ton of volume.
Yeah.
So I feel stronger too, and I feel like I'm also getting stronger.
Yeah.
And it's also a pretty quick workout. I mean, I can keep it to 45 minutes or an hour.
Yeah.
I'm doing full body right now as well, and I'm not as quick as you. I think I have a minimum of 2 exercises per movement. So it's I have 2 legs, 2 push, 2 pull, and then usually one other additional lift that I'm doing just for fun. And yeah, I've noticed that I feel a lot better, but I'm also pairing it with zone 2 cardio every other day. So it's I lift or I run Monday, usually 7 to 8 miles. And then I do my first lift day, and then the next day I run again, usually less, and then I do another lift day, and I usually do some HIIT as well, only 10 minutes, on a rower or an assault bike and stuff, and I feel a lot more athletic, and I've noticed that when I'm doing these lifts, it's I've kind of stuck with my Powerbuilding that I've always kind of done, where it's the primary exercise is strength based, and then everything else is volume, and 15 to 8 reps, whereas I'm doing 3x5s for the primary lift and everything. And I feel pretty good. I feel like I'm getting stronger, and I'm not putting on bad weight.
Yeah. We don't have it on here, but I guess I could add Conjugate Program. So, Conjugate Program, just look up Louis Simmons and try to read as much as you can. But it's essentially you'll do a dynamic lower body day. So you're doing speed reps.
Yeah.
And then you'll do a heavy upper body day, and then you'll do heavy lower body day, and then dynamic upper body day. So you're basically doing, that's typically how it will look with a 4-day. You're doing upper and lower twice a week, and one of those times it's focused on speed, and the other time it's focused on strength. But you're not going like super, super light. You're still using heavier weight for those speed days. It's just not like, it's not like a maximum weight for you at that rep range.
Yeah.
So you're able to move it a lot faster and you just try to move it quick.
Interesting.
So you're building that power.
Yeah.
So it's really good for power development. And I usually don't get to use something like this with a client, even though it's like a lot of fun for me. And you'll see this with like a lot of beginner trainers or bad trainers. They just try to put Gen Pop people on these advanced programs that they don't really have any business being on. But I've got one client that is like, he's a dog, you know, shout out Taylor. But I put him on it as like a new block for him. We just finished it up and he absolutely loved it and he got amazing gains out of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I probably do speed work almost every workout. I do it as like a back off set. Okay. So like I'll work up pretty heavy and then like for squat, I'll go down to like 225 and do like 3 reps where I pause at the bottom and just explode up.
Okay.
And I found that to help a lot.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because most people don't train power at all unless they're doing Olympic lifts, but most people aren't going to do Olympic lifts.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't recommend
especially with how technical those are. Like, that's where you see like, especially with like snatches and stuff, you just see a lot of people absolutely blow out shoulders. But I will say I followed something similar to that, like throughout my time in the Army, just with the amount of like cardio that we do and like distance running. I found that I could have like higher volume upper body days. So like back and, you know, arms, chest, all that stuff. And I would do like a lot more like power based stuff with the legs, just because like if I knew that I had to ruck 10 miles the next morning, I was like, I'm not going to do, you know, 8 sets of 6. You know, I'm going to do like a 3x5 or a 5-3-1 of just back squat. And then maybe like 4 sets of 10 of like leg curls and leg extensions. And that was my leg day, just because I was doing so much endurance.
And that's also like a really good tidbit for any like high school athlete. You know, a lot of high school athletes, they want to put on that muscle, but you also don't want to slow down. So for a lot of sports, especially, I mean, it's position dependent in football, but like generically for a high school athlete that's playing multiple sports, if you try to work on like power and explosiveness for the lower body and then just like building armor on your upper body, just putting on muscle mass, like that's a really good formula to becoming a better athlete without getting too complicated.
Yeah. And it's like, you're not going to end up looking like a Dorito. Like my legs are still like pretty, like good size.
I still
like you're not going to be that guy with absolutely like tiny toothpick legs and, you know, a giant upper body if you do that, because you're still hitting like the power and the strength. And so you're going to be building significant muscle on your legs, but you're not going to be worn out and be like, you know, feeling all crunchy and sore at practice the next day. Yeah. You know, I think that's kind of what we're getting to. So then we're going to talk about like just kind of the training philosophies here.
Yeah, let's go like one to two sentences.
Yeah, quick overview. We got powerlifting, bodybuilding, ollie lifting, CrossFit, Strongman, Rehab, and Powerbuilding. So that's what we'll talk about.
Let's just go 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Each of us. And Nick, if you want to start with powerlifting, we'll just go that way.
Yeah. So, I mean, powerlifting tends to be, I think, the best for most people to train this way. You know, it tends
it's a hot take for social media.
Oh, really? Oh, because powerbuilding's like the big thing, or
just bodybuilding. Powerlifting for most people to train. That's a hot take.
Oh, really? You think so?
Yeah, I mean, most people would gear towards like bodybuilding when they go.
Oh, yeah,
definitely.
But, I mean, like especially in the beginning, like you're not going to see differences really between powerlifting and bodybuilding as far as how you look. I mean, because they're both kind of getting at the same thing. Like if you powerlift, you're going to put on a lot of muscle.
Yeah.
But it just tends to be, I guess, lower frequency, higher weight, not as many sets, lower volume.
Yeah. I think it's a really good base to have for lifting. For
every gym meme though is like, you know, you never get stuck behind the power lifter when you're waiting because it's like 5 minutes between each set. You guys just sitting there breathing heavily, you know, and it's kind of that whole cope about, you know, like, oh, he's not fat, he's a power lifter.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I guess I do more power building because I don't take those huge rests. I'll do like 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But I used to be more powerlifting where I would, take like 5 minutes between my 5 sets of bench and just hog it.
Behind the bench for 40 minutes. And then we have bodybuilding here. This is something that I did for a long time. Still generally kind of, adhere to this school with a lot of like accessory lifts. Tad, I think, wrote that you don't generally like this. So I'll talk about why I like it, and then you can talk about why you kind of disagree with it because you are the certified professional. I am simply the layman who likes it. I've found that there's less risk of injury because you are focusing more on tension. Like if you're doing bodybuilding right, it's not about the weight, right? It is all about range of motion and time under tension.
How can you make a lightweight feel heavy?
Exactly. I found that I had some of my most significant gains in both, I don't know how to say this, but like definition, like actually getting my body to look the way I wanted it to, and like actually putting on size when I dropped weight and I just literally focused on like stretch, pause, contraction, and that's all it was. Is like I would have like for example with like a cable tricep push down, like I would literally have it on 10 pounds and I would just go through the full range of motion and pause at the bottom, and I would like flex my tricep and like almost like move the weight around to like try and touch every single head of my tricep, and then I would come back up. And that was very effective. And like you get like, it's all about building that tension and making sure that you're hitting every single part of that range of motion. And I think you're less likely to have a type of catastrophic or even like minor injury that's going to keep you out of the gym or discourage you. Yeah. So that's why I'm a big fan of this style of training.
Yeah. The pros that you spoke about there, I agree with. The cons that I would put under most people to train like a bodybuilder is if they find a bodybuilding type of program style online, it's going to be way too much volume for them. And that's where Nick's pros with like the less frequency and less volume with the powerlifting and focusing on those compound lifts for the average person, I feel like that has more value. But, we'll get into mixing the two at the end. Yeah. But speaking of like the chances of injury and stuff like that, this is where
the next two.
The next two are like, whew.
All right, so I'll hit Olympic lifting real quick. If you missed our episode with Raphael, one of our favorite interviews we've done, I think. It was a great episode, but
you will learn a lot if you listen to that episode.
Yeah, you will learn
definitely
so much.
Check out episode 105 with Raphael.
Yep. And Raphael was a national level competitor in Olympic weightlifting. And even he was saying, I had to just stop because things were starting to hurt too much. My shoulders were starting to hurt. My hips hurt. Like I just transitioned into more of a hypertrophy bodybuilding type of scene. But with Olympic weightlifting, for the vast majority of people, I don't really see the value, to be quite honest. The lifts are so technical. I just don't see a lot of value when you can get a lot of the pros of Olympic weightlifting with power development through other exercises, whether it's something as simple as just moving the weight faster, like we talked about earlier. So for most people, I would stay away from Olympic weightlifting unless you want it to be like your sport and you're really dedicated
like if that's something that like you want to do, like you want to be on Team USA and go to the Olympics and do it, or
you just want to compete like in amateur competitions. If you want that to be your sport, even as like an amateur, then that's cool. But for the average person just trying to get in healthier and stronger, I wouldn't recommend it. Nick, you want to hit CrossFit?
Yeah, I mean, I've never done it. I've only seen videos of people doing the I don't know what you call them, like the pull-ups.
Yeah.
But there's just, I mean, kind of like weightlifting. There's a lot of technique to do that without getting hurt, which it involves a lot of those movements too, with very high volume and not really a care for technique.
Yeah.
So it's generally not a great thing, but I mean, I think that varies from gym to gym.
Yeah. Let's take Olympic weightlifting and get rid of the focus on technique.
Yeah. I mean,
there are CrossFit boxes that do have coaches that are very dedicated
good,
to technique and stuff like that. But for a lot of people that are just doing CrossFit to get in good shape, they're just trying to like whip themselves into a good workout, and they're not. They're more focused on getting to the next thing than actually the technique.
And that's the issue with like a lot of these is they're pairing things such as the burpees and pull-ups with, power cleans. And it's like lighter weight generally, but it's still like you're doing these technical movements that, I mean, like you can still blow your back out with 55 pounds, if you're doing it 10 times in a row and you're out of breath and your form's all wonky, like the rate of injury is going to increase. And while it's good that people are just getting out there to work out, like I'll say, like I never did CrossFit, and I had a lot of peers and coworkers who were big CrossFit guys, and I was always in better shape than them. Like
for Army stuff, for running and stuff, even training like a power lifter, I was killing a bunch of them on the runs.
Like I was weighing in at like 210 and still coming in at a 32-minute 5 mile. And these were guys who were like doing all the right things. They were doing their CrossFit workouts, doing their like super long endurance runs.
Also, have you noticed that like every old Army guy you meet that's like 15, 20 years in that was in the Army during the huge CrossFit surge is just like broken and they're like, I can't do this or this or this or this because I was a really good CrossFitter, but now I'm just broken now. It's like, because it is just not good for you. Like and that kind of goes out to this like, like this new High Rocks thing. Like I don't know a ton about it, but it just kind of looks like CrossFit rebranded.
Another rebranded CrossFit that just like travels around now. It's kind of like what's that, Cirque du Soleil, but
Cirque du Soleil CrossFit.
It's like it's great to like have this kind of holistic fitness, where it is like some endurance, some HIIT, and some strength. Like these are all good goals. Like you should be able to do all of this, but training this way on a regular basis, especially with technical movements, is just kind of a recipe for disaster. And I think a lot of these people who are getting super into it aren't really thinking about that.
I think High Rocks takes out the barrier of the Olympic lifts. Is that true? I don't remember all the events.
I don't know. I've seen like sleds, sandbag stuff, like
lunges. I think it's a lot easier than a lot of like the Olympic.
I think it is. I think it's better than CrossFit, just because it's less. There's less danger of doing something stupid with a barbell, or just like I don't know, doing a backflip off a pull-up bar because you're trying to swing around it. But still, like you got to kind of like take these things, these fitness fads with like a grain of salt, and like just always try and stick to like the fundamentals. And like the original fundamental is just like the strongman competition, like with the Atlas stones. If you ever been to like a Celtic Games, like the caber toss, that's awesome. If you've never been, like
that's the telephone pole toss, right?
In the fall, like find your local like Celtic Games or something, and you'll just see these dudes out there who are just they look like it is kind of the definition of like a like strong dad bod. It's like they got the power belly. They're usually
like dad looks like a strong man.
They're usually like these giant like hairy dudes with big beards, and they go out there and they literally pick up a telephone pole and they run with it, and then they absolutely yoink it right over their heads and see how far they can throw a telephone pole. It's pretty awesome.
The strongman stuff is all super impressive at the high levels. I don't know how like the world's strongest man competition gets less views than like a soccer game. I don't understand soccer and the appeal at all, but like I don't understand how world's strongest man doesn't kill soccer or basketball.
Soccer's fun to play, but I think the like world's strongest man and just strongman in general is also so technical, and it's also just like kind of a high barrier to entry.
Oh, super
because it's like you're not going to get there without years of training. Like even like a basic strongman competition, I would say probably like 2 years minimum. Like you figuring out how to do this, and then building enough strength that you don't embarrass yourself out there. Whereas anyball can go out and just like kick soccer ball around.
Yeah, I mean, like there's
you don't see 4-year-olds picking up Atlas stones.
No.
You do see them on the pitch.
I mean, those are heavy because Big Work just got some. I think they go 250 to 450, and I tried 250 just on a whim, and like I couldn't lift it up.
Well, because you've never practiced the technique.
Yeah,
like a 250 deadlift is
like nothing.
One leg, easy.
Yeah. But yeah, like there's also a strongman there, and he's just built like a bowling ball. I think he push pressed like 405 the other day or something.
Who was there?
What's that?
Who was there?
No, he just goes there. I think his handle's like Strong EMT on Instagram or something. Mm-hmm.
Well, shout out Strong EMT. We'll tag you. We'll find it.
Yeah, which I've never talked to the guy. I've just seen his reels on Instagram.
Well, I met Robert Oberst at work. I think we've talked about that before, but
that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, like a lot of these more powerlifting, strongman niche kind of gyms will have a lot of that equipment.
And it's a lot of very unique equipment. Yeah. I think like for people who aren't familiar, it's like the giant the yoke and stuff. There are all these kind of almost like Herculean feats of strength versus just bench press, squat, and deadlift, which is what powerlifting is.
Yeah, but a lot of the exercises within strongman world are great exercises to incorporate into your programs.
Yes.
And a lot of the strongman like workouts, if you find some online, you'll see their full body workouts. They do include some of that conditioning. So I guess if you are someone that wants that mix of like lifting and conditioning instead of doing CrossFit, do strongman.
I would say strongman would probably be a good one because it is very practical. Like that's the thing that they always talked about with CrossFit is like, it's like more appropriate for like
it's more functional.
Yeah, it's functional fitness. The real functional fitness is strongman. You know, that's the real functional.
That's the takeaway from this episode. Strongman is the real functional fitness, not CrossFit.
100%.
Moving on to more of a rehab program. I tend to know a little bit about this.
He's our glass princess. Probably the most fragile person that I've ever met.
My bones are made of glass and my skin is made of paper. All jokes aside, I've had a lot of different injuries that I've had to go through and modify what I'm doing with rehab. Whether that's breaking my big toe and my foot several times over and then having to get creative with legs, or with Ranger School, getting a bunch of stress fractures in my hips, herniating 3 discs and having to work my way back from that. I haven't dealt with too many upper body injuries myself, but I've programmed for a lot of clients with shoulder injuries and other stuff. And one of the things that you're going to do if you are in this rehab state where you're coming back from an injury is you need to find the things that you're limited in and then don't give up on training the things that you're not limited in. I see this a lot with people like, they have perfect examples, like someone has a cast on their arm. They're like, I can't lift, so I'm just not really going to be going to the gym until my cast is off.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm going to go to the gym, but I'm just going to do like these machines. It's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. You can do that. Or you can find the exercises that you don't need to give up on and still include those. So when I tore my rotator cuff, I was still barbell squatting. It just looked a little different. I had the safety squat bar.
Yeah. You had to hold it with one hand.
I've got my one arm just kind of hanging down. I'm holding the handle with the other arm, and I'm still able to squat, 300 pounds with a safety squat bar. It just looks a little different. But there's ways you can find ways around. And then where you are limited, if I have a broken foot, there were times where I squatted with broken big toe and kind of hurt a little bit, but I just did it. And then there were other times where I had broken foot and I wasn't squatting until it healed, and I was doing leg extension, hamstring curl, using those machines to still stimulate that muscle if you actually cannot do a movement. So I would say the biggest thing if you have an injury and you're rehabbing it is make sure you're not just throwing out all compound exercises because you have an injury.
Like don't give up. I mean, there's so many workarounds, and I partially tore my labrum freshman year, and so like I couldn't bench or like do any pretty much push movement, whether chest or shoulders, for just over a year. I could do push-ups, but that was about it. But what that did for me is like I discovered the wonders of training my back a lot, and so I did like 3 back days a week, probably too much, but it was just like, I was one of those guys who was just not going to not go to the gym.
Yeah.
And so I was just deadlifting and doing a crap ton of rows all the time. And I probably put on like 10 to 15 pounds of muscle.
Yeah.
Just
getting your back stronger and then helped you when you went back to pressing.
Oh yeah. Huge. So it's like, if you've got a particular injury, just find different ways around it. So like if you have a shoulder injury, okay, do back and legs. Mm-hmm. If you've got a leg injury, okay, do chest and back. Yeah. You know, and then figure out how you can get legs on. You know, like there's so many ways around it. Like you should never just be like, okay, nah. And also, like you were saying, like if you can, oftentimes getting some like work in around that injury, you're going to get more blood flow into that area and probably help it heal faster. As long as it's, you know, like we're not saying like go in and do a 5x5 if you've just got knee surgery, you know, but like if you tweaked your knee or, you know, your quad or something, like you can just go do like light leg extensions and just focus on, you know, range of motion and, you know, some like minor like time under tension, and like you will like stimulate blood flow in that area and like help you heal faster.
Yeah. One of my favorite things I learned from friend of the show, Dr. Kevin Elevate. We'll get him on at some point. We're trying to get to Ohio, but one of the favorite things I learned from him when he was helping me with my rehab with my back is if I would have like a flare up as I was trying to progress on something, text him, he'd be like, okay, do like at least 100 reps throughout the rest of the day of just like body weight hinges, like keep moving it. You know, so it doesn't apply to every injury. It kind of depends on like what kind of injury it is, you know, but yeah, if you just tweak something, make sure you're still like moving that joint. We're not saying go bench press 225, but get some movement, whether it's just some light bands or something, so that you're increasing blood flow to that area so it can heal faster.
100%.
Nick, you want to end on power building?
Yeah. Which I mean, like we touched on this earlier, but it's just a combination of powerlifting and bodybuilding. I'm definitely more towards the powerlifting end, but I do incorporate some of this, especially with my accessories. But I mean, yeah, it's just a mix of the two.
Okay, so for someone that's never done power building, what would that look like in a program?
For me, like I did it for a long time, particularly like throughout college, and it would be like my primary lift. So the way I would structure it would be like bench Monday, squat Tuesday, shoulder press or row Wednesday, deadlift Thursday, and then, you know, shoulder press or row Friday. And like I was a little aggressive with it, and I would be doing like 20 reps, 15 reps, 12 reps, 10 reps, 8 reps, 6 reps, 4 reps. And that was all just the barbell. So it was like, what is that? Like 7 sets, all the way from like endurance range all the way down to strength.
That seems like a lot closer to bodybuilding.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider that power building. When I typically think of power building, it's like we're going to apply the powerlifting rep ranges to our compound lifts at the beginning of the workout. And then later on in the workout, we're going to add a bunch of like bodybuilding exercises and that kind of approach.
With, you know, like sets of 12 or so for like curls and triceps. And
it's like, let's take the best part of bodybuilding and the best part of powerlifting and mash them together.
I
think the big issue with this is that it can get into like way too much volume and too much intensity.
And it's super long too.
Yeah, and super long. Yeah, so.
If you got 2 hours to kill and, you know, you don't want to go home, then you should get into power building.
So that one's got some issues too. Overall, what do we think? Best way for the average person to train?
I would say,
it's a loaded question because the correct answer is it depends on the person. You have to talk to them first.
Yes, 100%.
Like generic programs we like for Gen Pop.
I would say power building that leans more towards powerlifting.
Yeah, like a 3x5 or 5x5 of the primary exercise with like 15, 12, 10, 8 for every accessory. And we do like 3 to 4 accessories per muscle group.
Yeah. I mean, I would even keep it full body. Which I mean, that's what I'm doing now, which is why I'm doing it now, because I like it and I think it works.
I would say more like a powerlifting or strongman type of program. and then just tempering back like the exercises, making it more regressed exercises.
At least initially.
Yeah. And then making sure there's not too much volume. But that way you're working through different rep ranges, but you're also getting the heavy rep ranges. I think that's probably the best way to go. So
I'm going to say P90X.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for joining us today at Weights and Wealth. And don't forget to apply today's lessons to live healthy and wealthy.
If this conversation will contribute to your fitness and financial gains, please share it with a friend or family member and give a 5-star review so more people can lift bigger weights and get bigger bank accounts.